Hey everyone, me Kevin here with an update from Joe Biden on stimulus, Donald Trump on stimulus, and can he send checks himself? Jobs, more stimulus, lockdowns, and COVID. Let's get right into it. Just a quick note, CNBC this morning posted a new Millennial Money, and it features Lauren and myself. So make sure to go check that video out. After this, you'll get to see a little bit behind the scenes put together by CNBC. It's really awesome, and I'm super stoked. First, on jobs. 742,000 first-time unemployment claims were filed last week. This is up 32,000 from a week prior. This is pretty bad. We're now starting a trend reversal. Instead of jobless claims going down, they are starting to increase. This is bad, especially since COVID cases are starting to skyrocket. We've already seen this for the last couple weeks. And when you factor in self-employed people who are now filing for unemployment, you're back over 1 million people filing first-time claims for unemployment. And what's Congress doing? They're going back on vacation next week for Thanksgiving. And this comes as the CDC says we should not be traveling, yet Congress will be traveling home after multiple people like Mr. Grassley in Congress have been exposed to and now contracted COVID. This gives Congress just 15 working days left after next week to work to prevent a government shutdown and avoid multiple cliffs we have coming up. A government shutdown, by the way, would send another 1 million people home without pay. On stimulus, Joe Biden today said that Congress will be more likely to negotiate on a second coronavirus relief package after President Trump leaves office in January. However, whether or not Trump will actually leave office in January is still being hotly disputed. Joe Biden said, quote, "Hopefully, when he's gone, they will be more willing to do what they know should be done, has to be done, in order to save the communities they live in." This is a reference to Donald Trump and Congress. Joe Biden has voiced substantial support for larger stimulus payments to individuals, unemployment pay, rental relief, mortgage relief, state and local government funding, and more. Kevin McCarthy is not optimistic either that anything will get done this year. He lamented this morning and said, quote, "Washington isn't doing anything. Small businesses do not have time, especially during a shutdown." And Kevin McCarthy basically begged for the ability to have the power to just free up the $138 billion available for a second round of PPP funding. He used his press conference this morning also as another opportunity to rail against Nancy Pelosi, saying, quote, "Nancy Pelosi failed. 23 Democrats joined us in saying Nancy Pelosi failed when we filed a discharge petition. She has failed, and we could have had money flowing if we dealt with this back in September." The harsh reality, though, is that both sides have their priorities, and the happy middle is what Americans need. It's not just businesses, though of course businesses need funding. It's those on unemployment, renters, regular households, as well as anyone affected by this pandemic. That's not their fault. Which, get this, Kyle Rittenhouse is in jail for having fatally shot 2 men and injured a third after the Kenosha riots. He said in a jailhouse interview that he used stimulus money to buy the gun that he used. He's 17, so he probably only got $500, but that was enough to give him the boost to save up the money to buy a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 rifle, which usually retails for around $799 plus tax. Donald Trump on sending stimulus checks. The lawyers in the Treasury Department have spoken and thus far shut down Donald Trump's ability to send stimulus checks himself. He can't get money out for the airlines either. Without Congress, nothing's going to happen. We are at a standstill, and thus far, Donald Trump and the White House have seemed uninterested in negotiating between Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. So far, we only have insights from an advisor that's close, an unofficial advisor, but someone who's close to Donald Trump, Stephen Moore, who says that Donald Trump is unlikely to be willing to sign or encourage another stimulus package prior to him leaving office because it would be seen that Trump instituted another $2 trillion worth of debt right before leaving office, and that would be attached to his legacy. When we look to Congress, remember that next week, Congress will be on vacation all of next week for Thanksgiving. After that, they will have 15 working days left to deal with the massive cliffs we have coming up, including the expiration of unemployment pay for self-employed individuals and many others maxing out their 39 weeks of unemployment benefits, eviction relief, student relief, and Main Street lending programs, all of which expire December 31st. On lockdowns, we know that lockdowns are ramping up everywhere, but I have to say, nobody is locking down like South Australia. Southern Australia is apparently locking down so rigidly because they've had 36 cases of COVID from zero that they are preventing people from even exercising outdoors for 6 days. Nobody's allowed outdoors except one person from a household to get groceries or go to essential worker jobs only. Everything's getting shut down for 6 days to allow a surge of contact tracing to find out every single person who could have potentially been exposed to these 36 people who have COVID. This also comes as New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio says it's just a matter of time for indoor dining to close. This has many of us wondering, why are they not closed yet? If schools are closing, why are restaurants more essential than schools? Rudy Giuliani this morning also gave a press conference on the elections outlining allegations of fraud. He gave an example saying he has 50 to 60 witnesses that are prepared to state that they were pushed and assaulted and not able to properly inspect ballots. This comes after Rudy Giuliani stated in court, "No, Your Honor, we're not alleging fraud." Instead, Rudy Giuliani said, "We're alleging a fraudulent process." This comes as Trump tweeted this morning, quote, "Evidence of voter fraud continues to grow, including 20,000 dead people on Pennsylvania voters' roll and many thousands all over the country. Now there has been an artificial number of votes in favor of Joe Biden." That is a quote from Donald Trump. On COVID, the Trump administration and the vaccine distribution team amongst the Trump administration spoke today and confirmed they have not yet briefed anyone on President-elect Joe Biden's team, and they have no plans to do so. This, by the way, comes at the same time as there was a lawsuit filed in Waterloo, Iowa, a wrongful death lawsuit, where supervisors placed bets on how many employees would get sick with COVID. According to the lawsuit, there was a cash buy-in, winner-take-all bet. And apparently this is the same facility where workers were told that COVID is a glorified flu and that they should keep working even if they are sick. One person was demanded to keep working even after they vomited on the production line. This is a Tyson Foods meat packing plant. Apparently, this facility also gave people $500 if they came to work for 3 months in the pandemic, encouraging people to come to work even if they are sick. Now, these are lawsuit allegations, so we do not yet know if they are true. Dr. Scott Gottlieb says that the biggest challenge to sustaining hospital capacity amidst the current wave of COVID infections across the U.S. is going to be staffing. He says we won't be able to surge extra personnel to areas of heaviest spread or of the heaviest spread when the entire nation is a hot zone. Additionally, the White House Coronavirus Task Force will hold a public briefing today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the first White House briefing we have had from the Coronavirus Task Force in months. The CDC also now recommends against Thanksgiving travel, advising that gatherings should only include household members and changing the definition of households to people living in the home for the prior 14 days. And this could potentially exclude college students. AOC, the representative in Congress who was reelected from New York, says to get the virus under control, we need to pay people to stay home. And quite frankly, I couldn't agree more. If we're going to have lockdowns, people should be compensated. Furthermore, on cases, we are at 172,391 cases, up 77% on a 14-day average. Deaths are at 1,923, almost 2,000 deaths per day. That's up 52% on a 14-day average. This is a big jump towards 2,000 cases per day. 900 Mayo Clinic staff have also contracted COVID in the past 2 weeks alone, and Moderna's CEO also said this morning that a vaccine is not a silver bullet, and we have to keep wearing masks, practicing social distancing, and staying indoors. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out that CNBC Millennial Money video. Obviously, check out the amazing programs linked down below. Get your life insurance in as little as 5 minutes, and get 4 free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.